Hi, my name is Maceo Lewis, and welcome to my movie review channel. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different. Today I want to talk about the announcing of the Doomsday Avengers movie cast from earlier this week. Now I'm a little delayed in my response, in part because I work and I also go to the movies. The NCAA tournament is on, so I've been a little bit busy, but I had some time this late Saturday after the last NCAA game today to kind of post my reactions about the cast list. So here we go. So just keep in mind when they released the cast for this Avengers movie, that the names that aren't on the list, they could still very well pop up in the movie as like cameos or post credit scenes or just like fill out surprises. Like we got some surprises in just the recent Deadpool and Wolverine movie, right? So just because a person's name is not on the list doesn't mean that there won't be in the movie. Secondly, um, they might not be in the movie because they just have no part in the overall story. And so we don't even know what the exact story is for Doomsday. So once we see the movie, we may very be like, oh, wait a minute, that cat, there's a reason why that character was in the movie. And if they were in the movie, they would have been forced. So that we have to keep that in mind. And also, obviously, we have Secret Wars coming out about a year after Doomsday. So just because the name's not on the list for Doomsday doesn't mean that they're not going to be appear in the Avengers movie. They're probably going to appear in Secret Wars. And we saw that with Infinity War and Endgame, right? In Infinity War, Hawkeye wasn't in it, Ant-Man wasn't in it, but they played very key roles in Endgame. So let me start by talking about who I was surprised by that was on the list. So of course, the biggest surprise to me was that the X-Men, a lot of the X-Men cast from the original Fox trilogy were on the list. It's not that I didn't think they would end up in the multiverse movie. Obviously, they have some of them have appeared in these multiverse movies, but I thought they would save them for Secret Wars, and the same thing with Channing Tatum as well. But I was surprised that they're going to play a role in Doomsday because in my mind, obviously, I don't even the script hasn't been written, and even if it hasn't been written, I haven't looked at the script, so I have no idea what this movie is going to be about. But as a fan, I speculate as everyone else, and I thought that Doomsday would primarily take place on Earth 616, where the heroes that we know in the Marvel Cinematic Universe live. So that being taking place there, I didn't think that they would even bring in the Fox X-Men for that. I expected to see the Fantastic Four, even though they're in a different universe, but I expect somehow either by the end of the Fantastic Four movie or maybe at the beginning of Doomsday, we connect the Fantastic Four universe somehow with the 616. In other words, bringing the Fantastic Four into the 616 somehow by whatever MacGuffin or whatever they want to use in the movie. So that's why I was a little bit surprised by that. So of course the Fox X-Men actors, that's Patrick Stewart, that's Professor X, Ian McKellen, that's Magneto. You have Kurt Wagner, Nightcrawler, Alan Cumming is the actor who plays him. James Marsden, who plays Cyclops. Rebecca Roman as Mystique, and Kelsey Grammer, who we already saw in, I believe it was in the Marvels, as Beast. So Channing Tatum, again, I was surprised that he would be in this movie. Again, I figured they'd bring him back in like Secret Wars or something like that, but he wasn't part of the X-Men in the original trilogy. In fact, the only appearance he made was in the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. So I was a little bit surprised by that they were bringing him for Doomsday. And of course, the other big surprise to me was Tenoch Huerta. He's the actor that plays Namor. Now, the reason why I'm surprised by him is because of the controversy that came out a couple years ago about sexual allegations that some female musician made against him. And to my knowledge, there hasn't been any trial or anything about that to resolve it. So I'm not going to comment on whether the allegations are true or not, or who's lying, who's telling the truth. I have no idea. I wasn't there. But the surprise to me is usually when a company makes business decisions, they're going to have to make a decision based primarily on how much the person who's the controversial figure is going to make for the company versus the backlash that this person can draw. And you see this a lot in entertainment and sports. So someone named Tenoch Huerta, who I mean, I only saw him in the Black Panther 2 movie. I've never seen him in anything else. That might have been his only movie. I mean, I don't even know his name. Like, I have to look at the screen to tell you his name, so I'm not really familiar with him. So, I mean, he was fine in the role as Namor, as it pronounced in Black Panther 2, but he's not like a person who's going to draw in $1 billion. Like, Avengers is a billion, 2 billion, possibly $3 billion movie. His name is not going to make that money. Now, if you bring someone like that in who has this controversy, could he make you lose money? Because he make you lose potential viewers? I mean, I don't know. Like, weighing the risk and reward, it sounds to me like it's more of a risk to bring him in than it is to leave him out. So anyway, that's just, I'm not saying he should be in the movie or not. I'm glad Namor is in it, and we'll see what his role is. But just as a business decision, and look, I'm not like a financial expert or a business owner, but just as a layperson, it's just an odd decision to, at least from my perspective, to bring him in. But I'm actually looking forward to seeing Namor back, and him continue with the role. So now let me get to who was not on the list, because who was not on the list is even more surprising to me. So the first name I noticed was on this was Don Cheadle, who of course plays Colonel Rhodes, War Machine, and obviously Tom Holland, who plays Peter Parker's Spider-Man in the 616. So one of the main surprises for me with that is not only because War Machine, he wasn't like an OG Avenger from the first Avenger movies, but his character was in the original Iron Man movie, and of course he was in the second Avengers movie. He's appeared in all the other ones since then, as well as the Civil War. So he seems like the type of character that you would call upon and rely upon when you're facing a global threat like a Doom. But also, it's sort of a missed opportunity because the whole point that I thought, again, I'm speculating, I don't know why they cast Robert Downey Jr. to play Doctor Doom, but when I thought about uh, having Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom, it seemed to me like one of the reasons why they cast him is because of his face. Like, his face looks like Tony Stark, and his face looking like Tony Stark is going to play a key role in this Avengers Doomsday movie. It's going to have a big impact on the characters and their decisions, right? Like, imagine if you have someone like Rhodey or Spider Man, who has a mentee relationship to Tony Stark, like how that's going to impact their decisions in terms of fighting this. Like, maybe they think this guy can be redeemed, or something of that nature. So I thought that was going to be play a key role in this movie, and if they're not in the movie, which it doesn't sound like they are based on that. Again, they could wind up being in the movie, but it just seems like a big missed opportunity, like when you're introducing this Doctor Doom into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Another one is Jeremy Renner, Hawkeye. But again, he wasn't in Infinity War, so maybe there's a reason why he's not in it. Maybe he's off. They just announced that they're going to do a season 2 of Hawkeye with Haley. Of course, Haley Steinfeld plays Kate Bishop. She's not on the list. So maybe they're off on their, I think it's like kind of like a Die Hard theme in season 2. So maybe they're off on their mission when all this stuff with Doomsday's happening. So who knows? But there's just a notable absence that Jeremy Renner and Haley Steinfeld are not on the list. Mark Ruffalo, who of course plays Hulk. I mean, Hulk, he's an OG Avenger. He's been around since the first Avengers movie, and I mean, even the Hulk movie that came out before it, at least his character. And so that was a surprise that he's not going to be involved. I mean, Wong, at the post-credit scene of Shang-Chi, Wong called upon Hulk as well as Captain Marvel to try to see, hey, look what's going on with these 10 rings, right? So you would think that they would call upon his character to help out against the threat with Doom. And along the same lines, Tatiana Maslany, she plays She-Hulk. So there's a cousin relationship between Hulk and She-Hulk. So with him, obviously I would expect her to be on there if he was going to be on there. Iman Vellani, who plays Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan. She's made several appearances in the Marvel Cinematic movies, in the Cinematic Universe. They also referenced her in the new Daredevil. She hasn't been appeared in it, but who knows? Maybe we'll see her in the post-credit scene or something at the last episode, having dinner with Daredevil. That would be cool. But I would thought that she would, be appearing in Doomsday. Again, she is in the 616, so I'm a little shocked that she's not in there. Benedict Wong. I'm surprised that Benedict Wong, who plays Wong, is not in it because to me he's sort of like the new Nick Fury. He's like the glue that's tying all these universes together, and to not have him in the movie is kind of like an odd choice. Again, Brie Larson, she was a powerful ally in the Avengers Endgame. She took out Thanos' whole ship and went toe to toe with Thanos with his Infinity Stones. But to not have her in, but again, they could write it off and say she's handling some other problem in some other part of the galaxy or something like that. But yeah, it's still a little bit surprising that she's not on it. Along the same lines with the Marvels, Teyana Paris, who plays Monica Rambeau. Now we saw at the end of the Marvels, she ended up in what I guess we're gonna call the X-Men universe because we saw Beast, and I think there was a reference to Professor X, and she winds up over there. So it's like, well, okay, so the events of the Marvels aren't going to be connected to the Avengers movies. Like, so what was the whole point of all that? I don't know. Maybe it's going to come out in Secret Wars. Maybe it'll have more of a relevance to the story then. But I thought it was kind of odd that they would leave Monica Rambeau in in the X-Men universe with Hank McCoy, who's going to appear obviously as Kelsey Grammer's going to appear in the movie as Hank McCoy. We assume, right? And so he's in the movie, but not Monica Rambeau, who was left in that universe. Isn't that like some that to me seems like a natural link between her character and this movie? But I don't know. So I don't know. We'll see how it works out. But that was a little bit odd to me. And of course, Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury. He's been in the Avengers. He was the connective glue in the previous saga, the Infinity Saga, and he just had the what do you call it, the what was that show that nobody likes? But maybe that's why he's not in this movie, because of Secret Invasion. So I don't know. But and then Chris Evans, of course, because I thought I remember reading stuff about both Chris Evans and Peggy Carter were going to appear in one of these movies. So maybe they're saving them for Secret Wars. But yeah, I was a little bit surprised that because I heard rumors and speculation about Chris Evans maybe not coming back as Captain America that we know, but maybe a different version of Captain America, like a an evil Captain America. But I don't know. But again, so I'm a little bit surprised by that. And of course, Danai Gurira, who plays Okoye. I mean, you already have some Black Panther characters who are going to be appearing in the movie. Shuri and M'Baku, and Danai Gurira, Okoye, it's been around Black Panther and the Avengers movie, so it's a little bit surprised that she's not going to be in the movie. Again, that she's not on the list, I should say. Now, since we know that the actors from the X-Men are going to be in the movie, and let me say that again, let me repeat. We know that the actors are going to be in the movie. We're assuming that they're going to be playing the characters that they played in previous movies. So maybe the reason why we're confused is because we're making an erroneous assumption, and we don't know is that they're playing different types of characters. Kind of like in WandaVision, where I believe it was Evan Peters. We thought, or a lot of us speculated that he was Quicksilver, and it turned out he wasn't Quicksilver. So maybe they're going to play around with that. But if we're going to assume that Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen's going to resume their roles from the previous X-Men movies, then there would be a surprise that Hugh Jackman's not in this as Wolverine, who we saw recently in Deadpool and Wolverine. That Halle Berry's not coming back as Storm, that Famke Jensen's not coming back as Jean Grey, that Anna Paquin's not coming back as Rogue. So if our assumptions are correct that they're playing the same characters, then it's surprising that those characters aren't also going to be in the movie in Doomsday. And again, since Channing Tatum, who made his debut as Gambit in Deadpool and Wolverine, well, he was a part of the crew with Wesley Snipes' Blade and Jennifer Gardner's Elektra and Daphne King's X-23. So why aren't they in this movie? So I was a little bit surprised when I saw Tatum's name that those three characters weren't or actors weren't going to be in Doomsday. Since we're getting Thunderbolts. Now, just because we're getting the characters from Thunderbolts, again, doesn't mean they're going to be playing the same characters. And it doesn't mean that the characters that we see in Thunderbolts are going to survive the events of Thunderbolts because this is a multiverse type thing. So, I mean, who knows? Red Guardian could still die in Thunderbolts, but still appear in a flashback scene or in a different universe version of Red Guardian. So, I mean, just because they're in Doomsday doesn't mean they're going to survive. But, okay, Olga Kurylenko, Taskmaster, she's was cast in Thunderbolts. A lot of us are speculating that she's going to die because she's not in much of the trailers. So, I mean, we'll see how that plays out. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, she seems to be bringing these Thunderbolts team together, and she's not going to be in Doomsday. So, where is she in the events of Doomsday? And since we're getting Paul Rudd as we're presuming as Ant-Man, whereas Evangeline Lilly as Wasp, Michael Douglas, Michelle Pfeiffer as Hank and Janet Pym, and Catherine Newton as Cassie Lang. Now, look, I mean, maybe we're not seeing these young characters like Cassie Lang, uh, Kamala Khan, because maybe they're gonna do like some Young Avengers type thing. They don't necessarily need to call it Young Avengers, but there's a scene in I believe it's either the Marvels or some show. I can't remember where the post credit scene where Kamala Khan goes and has a conversation with I believe it's Haley Steinfeld's character. So maybe they're off doing the mission together while the events of Doomsday is going on. So I don't know. We'll see. But I just wanted to point out the things that surprised me as I learned about the list of who wasn't on there, even more so than who was on there. Now I'll get into some early predictions about Doomsday. Again, this is very early. We haven't seen obviously Thunderbolts yet. We haven't seen Fantastic Four yet. And I don't even know if they even have the script ready for Doomsday yet. But here's just my general thoughts of what I think's going to happen. I think Doom, he's going to establish his threat level by taking out Sentry. That's just my wild guess. I think that's why Sentry's going to be in this movie. I think we're going to see Sentry's threat level in Thunderbolts. And then when we get to the beginning of Doomsday, I think Doom is going to take out Sentry just like Hulk Thanos took down Hulk in Infinity War to basically establish his threat level. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think Doom is going to win at the end of Doomsday, just like Thanos wins at the end in Infinity War. And the story of Secret Wars is basically going to be a reaction to the events of Doomsday, just like obviously Endgame was a reaction to what happened at the end of Infinity War. So anyway, that's just my general thoughts of the announcement of the Doomsday cast. So I'm still looking forward to this movie. I hope it's good, and I hope Secret Wars is even crazier in terms of their casting. But I'll get into that whenever after Doomsday and who I hope is going to be in Secret Wars. But anyway, so I'm looking forward to more news about this movie and to seeing it next year. And until then, subscribe to my channel so you can watch my reviews at ML Movie Reviews. I post my spoiler videos as well as my non-spoiler out of the theater reactions to this site. So hit subscribe so whenever I post something, you are alerted of my new content. Anyway, that's it for now. And until then, talk to you later.